this just confirmed exactly the Toronto Raptors' plans heading into this season, as Toronto just made two major decisions on two key rotation pieces for this upcoming year that will have an impact not just on their futures, but on other guys out there on this Raptors team. And now Darko Rajaković is going to have to manage this roster, this rotation over the course of this year to facilitate this strategy. What's going on? What's happening? Well, the Toronto Raptors had a deadline today to make multiple decisions. One regarding, of course, the guy that I've been talking about a ton in RJ Barrett this summer, and it's a reason why there's been a bunch of trade stuff, because his contract is in a little bit of a sticky situation given our cap situation, and as well as Ochai Agbaji, who was a player that I thought had a legitimate chance of getting an extension today. So what's going on? What's happening? Well, essentially, Ochai Agbaji, we'll talk about Ochai Agbaji first, then we will get to RJ Barrett. But Ochai Agbaji was a part of this 2022 NBA draft, and you can see it there at pick 14. Ochai Agbaji was selected by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then dealt away there during the Donovan Mitchell trade. But basically later. But this team, this draft class, you probably noticed over the past few years, there were a lot of extensions handed out. Paolo, Chet, those guys, they got their extensions early, given the fact that they are top dogs out there in this draft class and have been very, very effective. There's been news about Dyson Daniels wanting to get a big contract extension, but the Hawks not that interested in making that deal happen. Of course, Jalen Williams got that deal as well. Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren did not get their extensions, but over the past couple days, a couple of more were locked in. And basically, news came out, the Portland Trailblazers guard Shaedon Sharpe agreed to a 4-year, $19 million contract extension with the Portland Trailblazers. Now, Shaedon Sharpe has dealt with some injuries, has been in and out of the lineup, and isn't as good defensively as an Ochai Agbaji, but if we look at the stats for a Shaedon Sharpe, he is a guy that, if you take a look at the numbers and the stuff that, he's been able to put up, 18.5 points per game in a healthier season last year for the Portland Trailblazers, and 4.5 rebounds, 2.8 assists, had a lot more opportunities, a lot more minutes in the games, and could opt out the three ball, all of that type of stuff. So Shaedon Sharpe ended up getting a $22 million contract. And also in this draft class, Keegan Murray ended up signing a 5-year, $140 million rookie contract extension with the franchise. And the Kings, he has been a rotation piece. Again, hasn't had the ball in his hands a ton, given the fact that they have DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. They had De'Aaron Fox there for a while. Now Dennis Schroeder. They have, DeMontis Sabonis. So many guys out there on the Kings roster that need the ball in their hands. And Keegan Murray is an interesting statistical season last year. So he's making roughly $28 million for the next, 5 seasons or whatever. And, he averaged 12 points per game last year, shot 34% from the three-point line. Did show some stuff defensively, showed some stuff rebounding-wise, but really, lots of money thrown out there for Keegan Murray. So what does that mean for a guy like Ochai Agbaji? He did not get his contract extended. He did not get that deal. So, if we take a look at the Raptors salary cap situation, and you can see, right, just in terms of, the eligibility stuff, basically, if I have the right graphic pulled up here, yes, the Toronto Raptors, they have Ochai Agbaji currently under contract for this season, and then next year there's an option. So it's, they have to make some decisions right now in terms of, in the future about keeping Ochai Agbaji's contract long-term, and they decided not to extend him. Now, if we compare Ochai Agbaji to some of the similar caliber players out there in the draft, again, you can make arguments either way, but Ochai Agbaji over the course of his career, most last season was certainly, he took a leap higher than he was in previous seasons. And for the Raptors last season, averaged 10 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, 1.5 assists, shot really effective from the three-point line. So it was extremely efficient from the three-point arc, close to 40%. And on top of it, he's a much better defender. Maybe not much, because Shaedon Sharpe and Keegan Murray are pretty good, but, very, very strong defender compared to a Shaedon Sharpe and Keegan Murray. And you see his pairs. You see these guys end up getting, $20 million and $28 million out there per annual value in the open market. And the Toronto Raptors right now, they revealed their hands because even though Ochai Agbaji is very good, even though he's very effective, Bobby Webster does not want to lock this team into any more long-term money. He wants the flexibility to be able to see, hey, this Raptors group, we need to see if they're good, see if this team fits, see if it all works, because we have a ton of talent, a ton of great players on this team, but there are question marks about fit. Now, preseason has me encouraged about how the direction and how this team could look, but of course, Bobby Webster doesn't want to lock anything in heading into the season, even if this means Ochai Agbaji has a breakout year and you have to pay him more in order to keep him around. But, it's too much of a risk to give more long-term money out for these guys, when you have Scottie Barnes locked in on a big contract for the next few seasons, Brandon Ingram, significant contract, Immanuel Quickley is getting paid $30 million forever, it looks like. You just extended Jakob Poeltl. There's a lot of guys getting serious money over the next few seasons, so the Raptors don't want to lock in that bread. They're showing their hand here in terms of what their game plan is for this season. Now, this leads me to RJ Barrett, because there's been a lot of discussions, given this cap situation. Hey, we got to trade RJ. He's the odd man out. He doesn't fit. I have been a proponent, do not trade RJ Barrett. This graphics popped up all summer. I do not want to trade RJ Barrett. He needs to stay on this roster, stay on this team. I am a big RJ Barrett guy. And if we take a look at, RJ's stats, it doesn't make sense to deal away a guy that's averaging 21, 6, and 5. But, just statistically in terms of what he's able to do. And honestly, the fit thing is getting over talked about. He has looked like the most comfortable guy out there on the court, given all the changes and all the flux that the Raptors have been in over the past 2 seasons. But I digress. RJ Barrett has been brought up and discussed and different things about an extension and whatnot. And even though, again, we talked about cap flexibility, I still wanted the Raptors to just extend RJ. I'm a believer in this guy, and I think his value is only going to go up as things move forward. But RJ Barrett, you can see it here now. His contract is eligible before the 2025-2026 NBA season, and that was yesterday. So RJ Barrett cannot get his extension now until next summer, when, again, Bobby Webster has some more time to evaluate the situation, evaluate what is going on, and frankly, evaluate fit, because while I'm a big RJ guy, but the external factors are the reason why he's being brought up in all these discussions, all these things here now at this point. But you have other guys out there on the roster that are going to command minutes and play the same position as RJ Barrett, as well as Ochai Agbaji. But you have Gradey Dick, who last season, we take a look at the stats, he averaged 14.4 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 1.8 assists, and is only 21 years old. He can knock down the 3 ball, and people argue is a better fit around a Scottie Barnes and all that type of stuff. Even though, ironically, like, RJ Barrett's better on corner threes, but I digress. Gradey Dick, I think from the eye test, everyone would agree is a better shooter, and take a look at the advanced numbers and see that stuff there. And then you also have Jakob Poeltl, who was a rookie last year, 21 years old himself, averaged 8.6 points per game, 3.1 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and in the back half of last year really showed a lot of flashes. I mean, these totals are for his full rookie season, and he dealt with a bunch of injuries at the start of last year. So Bobby Webster has to evaluate this group, evaluate how this team is going to look, with RJ Barrett at the helm, with Gradey Dick. Are they developing to the point where it makes sense to trade RJ Barrett? There's a lot of permutations of how this Raptors roster can be adjusted, can be tweaked out there in the years moving forward. And Bobby Webster, despite the talent of an Ochai Agbaji, of an RJ Barrett, he does not want to lock this team into more long-term money, because the Raptors are fairly cap-struck moving forward. So that's a lot on Darko Rajaković here now to, piece together this team, piece together these rotations to figure out what to do with Gradey Dick, figure out what to do with Jakob Poeltl, who, if we look at the roster, right, he's projected to be like a third stringer now at this point. Now, again, the rotation's going to be flexible. Injuries happen all year. He's going to be a guy that's going to be playing a lot of minutes for the Raptors, but it's going to be a lot on Darko Rajaković to not only maximize these guys, but also do it in a way where the Toronto Raptors are winning. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. Are you disappointed the Toronto Raptors did not extend Ochai Agbaji or RJ Barrett? Let me know. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers. Go Blue Jays. Go Blue Jays. Game 7 tonight. Check it out.